So, you know, Pac-Man, right? You know, world famous arcade character. He's been in a lot of things, you know. He had a party game once, he had a gambling machine, been in a dating sim, but, you know, he's had a lot of great games, you know, classic arcade games, classic maze games, but I think his best stuff was 3D platformers, you know? Like Pac-Man World 1, 2. Those were pretty great games. Not the third one, no, that one was like really shit. So, what I want to do is, in this video, just go on about how a fourth Pac-Man World game could be made. I think Pac-Man World 4 should take most of its inspiration from Pac-Man World 2 in terms of the World Series. Maybe give the story elements from World 3, give Pac-Man and friends a voice to talk and doing quips and such. But I think in terms of gameplay, Pac-Man World 4 would benefit a lot from taking ideas from collectathons like Banjo-Kazooie. Like, as much as I fucking love Pac-Man World 2, the game had a really hard time deciding if it wanted to be a linear platformer or a collectathon. So it compromised with a really annoying side quest that no one fucking liked. I think for Pac-Man World 4, it should just become a full-on fucking collectathon, scatter a bunch of collectibles all around the world. But what would these collectibles be? Well, I think for a Power Star / Jiggy equivalent, it should be the tokens for Pac-Man World 2. I think, for example, if the hub world was, you know, like an arcade room where you just had a bunch of arcade machines and you inserted tokens to unlock the new worlds, that'd be cool as fuck, to be honest. I think for the smaller collectibles, there should be the fruit, you know, like the oranges, the bananas, the cherries, the strawberries. These would act like the Jinjos from Banjo-Kazooie, where, you know, you pick 5 of them up and you get a token. And of course, the Galaxians would return, you know, transporting Pac-Man to a maze. But I think for these mazes, they should take a lot more inspiration from the weirder maze games of Pac-Man's, like Pac-Man Arrangement 1996 and Pac-Man Adventures in Time. You know, have more crazy levels, you know, like teleporters and jump pads, maybe even include the jump for Pac-Mania, you know, make them more interesting. They should really take advantage of the 3D space for maze design and make way more interesting levels than they had in other Pac-Man World games. I think the movement for Pac-Man in Pac-Man World 4 should be a lot more acrobatic. Like, in Pac-Man World 2, he's really fun to control, sure, but like, he has like 3 moves, which is rev roll, roll, and butt bounce. That's it. There's nothing else. I think for Pac-Man World 4, they should expand on his moveset and make him a lot more fun to control. I think some new cool moves Pac-Man could learn would be rolling down hills by hitting like the B button. I know this would turn, you know, the rev roll from a pretty big rip-off to the spin dash into a really big one, but it'd be a lot more fun, so I don't really care. Think of like Mario's roll from Super Mario Odyssey, but you don't have to shake the damn controller all the time. I think that'd be pretty fun for Pac-Man. I think he should also, you know, have like a side flip like Mario has. This would be really helpful for, you know, when you're like on the side of a platform, if you want to, you know, side flip onto it and then, you know, wall jump off of it. That'd be very helpful. For new moves, I think he should be able to pick up objects like keys or boxes and throw or drop them. I think for a little cute animation detail, he should just put them in his mouth and spit them out instead of just carrying them. He should also, you know, be able to use his tongue like a grappling hook, you know, to hang off of grapple points. You know, the chameleon power of like Ghostly Adventures, but, you know, instead of, you know, how stiff it is, it's a lot more momentum based. You gotta go back and forth to build up speed. I think that'd be fun and add a lot of like verticality to level design. But not enough about stupid ass Pac-Man. Let's talk about. I think Pac-Man World 4 should have 6 playable characters. You know, Pac-Man obviously, but Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde as well. Blinky and Pinky will act really similar to how they were in Pac-Man World 3, but they'll have a few new moves. You know, like the side flip and, you know, rolling and shit, like the ones that Pac-Man just got, they'll also have. Also, I think for Pinky, she should be able to slip through grating and, you know, find secrets like secret fruits and tokens and such. I think for Inky, they should make him split into 2, like he does in Pac-Man Arrangement 1996. You know, instead of the double cherry where you control both of them at the same time, I think you should use both analog sticks to control each of them, which would, you know, make for a lot of creative puzzles where you have to split one off to go to one button, the other one has to go to another button to do something. I think it'd be pretty fun and add a lot of variety to the gameplay. I think for Clyde, he should be able to just see like large obstacles like a boulder in the path. He could like put them in his mouth and like spit them out to like fill in holes and such. Like, for example, there could be like a cog like all the way in another area and you have to get that to start a machine up. Of course, picking up stuff would come at a risk, so he'd, you know, slow down while holding stuff in his mouth. So, you know, you have to be strategic. Petra from Pac-Man Party would be the last character. In Pac-Man Monster, she was given like the attribution of, you know, having potions and such. So I think she could be like Plague Knight, where she has a bunch of potions, you know, to do crazy jumps and such. She could also have like a fire potion to set stuff on fire. You know, she could have an ice potion, you know, put out water, you know, turn into ice. She could have a water potion to put out fires, and I think that'd be a pretty cool final character, you know, to add to the roster. I think these attacks would work like the wizard hat from Ahead of Time, where if you hold the trigger longer, they become stronger attacks. You know, they have a more stronger effect. Like the fire attack becomes bigger and such. So how would playing all these damn characters work? Well, I think it's the Donkey Kong 64 approach, where you have to go all the way back to a goddamn barrel to switch to the goddamn character to pick up one collectible. I think you should just be able to hold down like the L button to, you know, pull up a weapon wheel of characters, and you just use the right stick to select which character you want. Of course, for certain platforming, that wouldn't allow you to switch to other characters, but I think this is the best solution for this type of multi-character gameplay. Of course, you can't have all these characters without worlds for them to be in, so let's move on to... As much as I love Pac-Man World 2, it really fucking followed just standard level tropes so goddamn hard. I think for Pac-Man World 4, they should mix it up and do some new ideas never before seen in Pac-Man. I also think this would be a great place to include other Namco properties like Mappy and Dig Dug. For example, you could have an underground world that takes stuff from Dig Dug, like the multi-layered colors of rock, and it could have a bunch of pukas and figars. Could bug bounce and revel through dirt and rubble, Clyde could pick up boulders and toss them around, and Blinky could knock over stalactites. Another world idea I have is a city world that takes elements from a bunch of Namco games. For example, Niamco from Mappy could be there, and you could fight the Malkis as enemies and Goro as a boss. It could also be like Pac-Mania's Blocktown and be made out of Legos and take elements from both Pac-Man arrangements to create a city like Pac-Man has never seen before. There could also be an ice world that takes elements from Pac-Man Party's Icy Islands and Freezy's EP from Banjo-Kazooie. It would be more about Christmas theming than actual, you know, snow world. They have like Christmas decorations up and igloos and little log cabins and the such. Namco has some of the most interesting arcade games to ever grace an arcade cabinet, which is why I think it's fucking horrible how they've been treating their classic arcade games. They have all of these great games and they re-release the fucking shitty NES ports, which is so stupid. I'm gonna put the fucking hub world as the Namco Museum. This will make up for the god-awful ports and make a pretty good 100% bonus for Pac-Man World 4. The games they should include are Pac-Man, Ms. Pac-Man, Junior Pac-Man, Pac-Mania, Dig Dug, Mappy, Galaga, Pac-Man Arrangement 1996, Pac-Attack, and the original Pac-Man World. I think this is a perfect bonus for the people who get everything in the games, but not enough to take away from a real Namco museum. It'll also make a nice little distracting if you get bored of the main game. Pac-Man World 4 should have a unique villain never seen in a Pac-Man game before. I know people love Spooky and want to see him again, but I think he'd work better as a mini-boss, not the big bad again. My idea for the main villain of Pac-Man World 4 is that the 256 glitch takes a physical form and destroys Pac-Man's world. The story of Pac-Man World 4 is that Glitchy is destroying the world of Pac-Man and meshing different universes and timelines together into one. This is why locations from Dig Dug, Mappy, and other obscure Pac-Man games are being meshed together into one. Glitchy brings back a bunch of familiar enemies like Togman and Spooky to try and stop Pac-Man and finalize his plans of the domination of the Namco universe. Pac-Man must team up with a bunch of other characters from other timelines and other games to stop the Glitch menace. Characters like Pankster from Ghostly Adventures, Patra from Pac-Man Party, and of course every universe's version of the Ghost Gang. If you think this is way too similar to Crash 4's premise, you'd be correct. But I don't really care either, as it is a great way to mesh all of Pac-Man's history together, as sporadic as it is. Like how Crash 4 was a soft way of redoing Crash, I feel like the same should happen with Pac-Man World 4. Pac-Man World 4 should happen due to the lack of care and respect Bandai Namco has had for this series in the past few years. Pac-Man has been so inconsistent with everything, changing character designs, lore, art style, gameplay style, and everything else on a whim. Pac-Man's identity now is a mess of 80s nostalgia, vibrant neon lights strung over the same core gameplay from 40 years ago. It's sped up a bit. And quite frankly, I'm sick of it. Pac-Man deserves better than what Namco has given him. And I think Pac-Man World 4 is the perfect answer to hit the reset button on Pac-Man and give him an identity again. This needs to happen not just because the ideas Pac-Man World laid the groundwork for can be expanded on, but because Pac-Man deserves better. Pac-Man needs better, and all of his fans deserve better too. Knowing Bandai Namco, no. Pac-Man World 4 is probably one of the most unlikely things to ever happen. Namco would rather set their entire headquarters on fire than make another Pac-Man World at this point. But could they make another Pac-Man platformer? This is more likely, but not by much. Since Ghostly Adventure's failure, Bandai Namco has basically walled off Pac-Man from any new ideas, and I think it is out of fear. Out of fear of what, you may ask? Fear of failure. Let me just say it here, Ghostly Adventures was a miserable fucking failure. It failed on almost every front. As a reboot, it failed. As a TV show, it was god-awful. But as a video game, it was decent. The 2 games they made for the brand of Ghostly Adventures were decent, although rushed and incomplete. But this shows Pac-Man platformers can still be worth a damn, even if they aren't carrying the Pac-Man World name. But since they sold poorly, Namco thinks people don't want Pac-Man platformers, which is incorrect. They just don't want Ghostly Adventures. When Namco realizes how many people want a Pac-Man platformer in the Pac-Man World style, we will get it. But it's not gonna happen any goddamn time soon. Yeah, that's the end of the fucking video. Holy shit, I got it done? Well, I'm glad I finished the video. Wow, that took way longer than I thought it would. Holy shit, recording this was a pain in the ass. But, yeah. If you like these videos, hit subscribe fucking button. Yeah, I don't care. Whatever, do whatever, dislike it. But I'd rather just, have someone comment what they liked about it or what they fucking hated about it. That'd be way more valuable to me instead of just, oh, you're great, subscribe. Yeah, please tell me what you didn't like. It's just way more fucking helpful than just spitting out a bunch of stupid ass fake bullshit about how you love this video. Please just tell me what you didn't like. Also, I'd like to thank the Newman from Pac-Land for being a really big help with this video. Like, he actually read through my script and said, yeah, it was pretty good, which was pretty helpful, to make sure this was valid and worth, making. So, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and peace.
Hi.